Hello guys and welcome back. Today's video is going to be me talking through my 2019 reading stats and also my 2020 reading goals finally. I have actually already filmed this video. I filmed it, I edited it, and then I hated it, so I was just like, I'm just going to refilm it. So yeah, here we are. So I'm going to give you a run through of 2019 and then we can finally just get it out the way of this channel, because I know January has literally been me talking all about 2019 as if we're not in 2020. In my last video, the fantasy to poetry video, I miscounted the amount of poetry books I read. I really right now don't know how I done that. Like till this day I'm just like, how did you miss that out? But I read 2 other poetry collections, so I basically nearly smashed that goal. I read, I'm gonna put the book here, no I'm gonna put it here. I know why I forgot about it because I thought it was awful. I was going to purge it from my mind, and I spoke about it in one of my monthly wrap-ups. But I read this poetry collection that I really didn't like. It's by like Atticus poetry or something like that. And then I also read Derek Owusu's That Reminds Me, which is a long poem, poetry in verse. So I completely forgot about that, and I think with That Reminds Me, it's because I read it on my Kindle, and just the format that it was in and just how I was viewing it made me completely forget about what it actually was. So I think I said that percentage of that goal was 4% really, but I think it's actually now more like 7%. So as we all know, in 2019 I read 75 books, and my reading goals, like totaled up, if you count them in terms of percentage, that's 58% made up of those reading goals that I set myself, which was African literature, science fiction, poetry, essays and mythology, and then other genres etc. will fall outside of that. So those 75 books are made up of 13 audiobooks, 26 ebooks and 36 ebooks. In 2018 I read 55 books. So whilst without audiobooks there would still be an increase in the amount of books that I read. I can only say that increase has come from the fact of like travelling between England and Scotland. I went on holiday twice last year, so I had time like on planes and stuff like that to do some reading. But obviously audiobooks has added to the fact that I have read a lot more books, and that is mainly because I discovered the Beauvoir series by Agatha Christie, and I listened to a couple of other audiobooks as well. In 2018, the only audiobook I can really remember listening to is Lincoln in a Bardo by George Saunders, and I really enjoyed that. So I guess the only other rundown I want to give you in terms of stats from 2019 is in terms of genres. So obviously I spoke about like sci-fi, and then there's essay, mythology, poetry, whatever, and they all obviously have their own like further genres that they break down into. But I just looked at my Goodreads and sort of counted things from like non-fiction and fiction, and then other genres as well. So in terms of the other stats I'm going to give you for 2019, I just decided to take a look at the genres. I didn't break it down by like fiction, non-fiction, and then drill down into what those genres are. I've literally just broken it down into fiction, non-fiction, mystery, sci-fi, etc, etc. So my top like sort of genre would have been fiction, which includes like contemporary, literary fiction, women's fiction, whatever you want to call it. You know, a lot of the African related books that I read would fall under this category, and I've got that down here as 24. I think it's a lot more. Non-fiction I have here 11, which I think is quite accurate, and I'm really surprised at that because I really thought that I read less non-fiction last year, but I'm really glad to see that that's the number. Sci-fi is here is 14, poetry 7. The other genre that has come up that I was completely not expecting, but obviously it makes sense, is mystery, which has come up with 11, which is obviously because of the Agatha Christie books, which is really nice because I don't think there has ever really been a point in my reading where mystery, like I can remember it vividly standing out or even being more than 5. So that was really interesting to see. And then yeah, other things are just like fantasy, classics, and romance is 1. Like I think if you took a look at my reading like 3 years ago, romance would be really high on the list. So that was just really interesting to see. So that is it for 2019. We are done and dusted with that. I will not be speaking about it anymore. That's probably a lie, but still. So now we're going to talk about the reading goals that I have for this year. I do realise it is February, and this will probably go up halfway through February, but nevertheless, there's still very, very many months left in the year. So I think I have 8 goals, maybe? Yeah, I think there are 8 goals, and 7 are reading related and 1 is channel related. The first goal is in relation to one of the goals I set myself last year, which is to continue reading the science fiction recommendations that I got last year. I got a ton of recommendations that I haven't gone through, so I would just like to continue reading those because, you know, some of them I was enjoying, some I wasn't, but I would just like to continue reading through them because I did enjoy a lot of the recommendations, and hopefully what I will do halfway through this year, once I've read through like those recommendations, is be able to modify this goal. So it's about picking up, going out and looking for science fiction books myself that I think I would be interested in picking up those books. So first one, just keeping it simple and just continuing with the recommendations that I have. My second goal is to read more non-fiction. Like I mentioned earlier, I was really surprised at the fact that my non-fiction reading was like that high. I mean, 11 books isn't that much in terms of non-fiction, but for me, I was really surprised that that's what the number was. This year, I would like to make a conscious effort to read more non-fiction books. As much as I love reading fiction, I think there is a need to be more aware about things that are going on in the world, at least, and also aware of things that I am also interested in. And I think the way for me to do this is through reading non-fiction books. So I haven't closed myself off from the topics that it could be in, but I'm naturally going to gravitate to sort of things that I am interested in. I also think, like, because this year I'll be writing my dissertation, I will be reading a lot of academia. Like, just reading non-fiction and the way that the language is set might make the sort of half academic text more accessible to me. But yes, I want to just make sure that I'm focusing on subjects that I'm interested in, topics, areas that I'm interested in, and reading more about them, but also just to gain a greater sense of awareness about the world. My third goal is to read more self-help books. If you've spoken to me about 3 years ago, I read a ton of self-help books, and loads of things have happened in my life since then. I've moved, I've quit my job, studying for a master's, etc, etc. But I have just noticed over the past year, and obviously there have been other life changes, moving twice within the time that I've moved to another country, and just other stuff personal life stuff, but things to do with my work as well, that I just noticed that my mental health has seriously declined. And I think reading self-help books really helped me to sort of always be working towards something, or sort of be reframing how I see things in my life. The goal isn't to cure yourself from everything, but I think having some strategies in place might help. And also, I just kind of enjoy self-help books as well. I think I definitely stopped for a while because I was reading a lot of books that were saying very similar things, and I was just like, well, it's enough. I've read one and I've read them all, but I'm hoping to rediscover some new ones. The fourth goal is to read the books that I own. I have been increasingly aware of the fact that I own a ton of books and I'm just not getting through them, and it's making me very anxious. I just don't like it. This has definitely been an issue that I've noticed since I've joined BookTube. The fact that I do have a lot of books that I haven't been able to get through, and that's been for various reasons. Like last year I did my sort of wandering around Glasgow and going secondhand book shopping. Authors send me books. I also went to an event last year, for work, where I picked up a ton of books, and there has just never been a point in my life where I've had so many books that I haven't read. When I was younger, and just even up until I moved to Scotland, I would always sort of just buy 1 or 2 books, read them, and then buy some more. I would never just be buying 10 books and then just never read them. So I do find that is the case now, and I just want to get through them. There's something personally for me of the not using them, not reading them. I don't want them to just sit on my shelf gathering dust. So in the other bedroom, I have started to remove the books from here and put them in the other bedroom so that they're on my desk, so that I know what's been read and what hasn't been read, and so that it's in my face that I shouldn't be buying any more books. So what I'm going to do is really make a conscious effort to just get through those books. There's a reason why I chose them, and I know on BookTube loads of people have this issue, but I just feel mine have come about through circumstances that have sort of been not out of my control, but I didn't financially invest in a lot of these books, but I do have them, and I don't want them just sitting there gathering dust. That's just not what I want. My fifth goal is in relation to a book that I read last year. So last year I read Trick Mirror by Tolentino, and she referenced some amazing books in her essays, and I want to read 5 of the books that she referenced in that essay collection. So yeah, funny me talking about reading all the books that I own, and now I'm I want to read 5 more new books that I don't have. But I think one of the books she talked about was The Second Sex by Simone de Beauvoir. I want to read that. It sounds amazing. Again, I think this will help me meet that sort of non-fiction element. If I can, I will try and leave just on the screen here some of the titles that she spoke about, but yeah, I definitely feel they are going to sort of broaden my horizons and in the sense of there are many things to be discovered in the world. But yeah, I just thought a lot of the stuff that she sort of referenced, spoke about, the glossary or the bibliography that was there, they looked really interesting to me, so I definitely want to be able to pick those up. So my 6th goal is for me to read 6 essay collections. So last year, obviously, I said I wanted to read essay collections, and this year I'm quantifying it. I just seem to have a hankering for essay collections. I don't know why. You know, I did read some hit and miss ones last year. I have just recently finished listening to What My Mother and I Don't Talk About, which I enjoyed. Like, I actually really liked it. So I want to make sure I'm continuing to seek out like essay collections on things that I'm interested in and want to give a read. So I do have, I think, 2 on my shelf from last year that I didn't read, so I can easily just like use the books that I have to meet this goal. I have not defined it in terms of any topic or theme. Again, I'm just giving myself free range to read whatever it is I want. I find that essay collections can be a bit hit and miss, but I mean that's the case with everything. But you can either get something like Tolentino's Trick Mirror, which is completely not themed, so it's not bound by one thing. The only sort of running theme through that was the fact that they were essays surrounding things she was interested in. Or then you've got something like, I've got an essay collection in there called White Rage, which is quite political, so it's going to be all about like white privilege and things like that. And that could get like quite like boring because it's quite samey. Whereas something like Tolentino's Trick Mirror was quite varied in that aspect. So it'll be interesting to see what I find that I do like, because when I listen to What My Mother and I Don't Talk About, that was also very different because there were different writers and it was all their personal stories, and I'm finding that I'm liking a mix between maybe different writers and different takes on a certain topic. Also, following on from a goal last year, my 7th goal is to read 9 poetry collections. Again, just quantifying it because I think it just makes it a lot easier, and you know, 12 months in a year, 9 seems very doable, and poetry I think is just obviously much more easier to get through than other books, so fiction, non-fiction, etc. No thoughts yet about what those collections are. I do have a couple in my Amazon basket that I'm really excited to get to. So the reason why I'm putting this goal down is just to make sure that I'm getting to them. I really enjoy reading poetry. Like, I love the way it makes me feel when I listen to like spoken word, or I go and see poets perform. Like, I'm always just so amazed, and I love the way it makes me feel. It's about the way that people craft their words together that just gets me, and I just think poetry just, I don't know, it has a way of getting to me, so I want to make sure that I'm still continuing to access, you know, a form of writing that I really, really love. So those are my reading goals. My final goal is actually a channel goal, and that is to have closed captions on at least one of the videos I upload during the month. I would like for it to be more, and I will always try for it to be more, but I'm also very aware that I have a lot of constraints on my time, so I don't want to overburden myself. But I think accessibility is a really important thing, and you know, someone like me needs to be doing things to make sure that my videos are accessible to people, which not because of I want everyone to watch my videos, but because everyone deserves the opportunity to be able to like view things, read things, watch things, and not be hindered because people like me are lazy. So I'm going to try my hardest to do those sorts of things. But yes, that is it for my reading goals. I'm really happy with them. I took the time to like just think about my goals last year and what I liked and what I didn't like, and how I was going to sort of carry that forward and just, I don't know, make them smarter, make them worthwhile, and I'm really happy with them. So I will probably do a 6-month check-in like I did last year, where I'm not going to deeply talk about each goal, but I'm just going to talk about like, you know, am I changing them, how I'm getting on with them and things like that. But I guess during the course of the year you will get to see sort of how I'm meeting these goals, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see if halfway through the year anything does change. But let me know if you have any recommendation in terms of books for the goals that I've spoken about. Obviously be aware that I have a ton of books that I do actually also want to get through, but any sort of essay collections or poetry collections that you think might be useful, yeah, I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in another video. Bye!